Quick mention of our sponsors. The Neue Apotheke am Markt. It's a German pharmacy, a brick-and-mortar pharmacy here in Germany. In addition to the great service and listening ears of our employees here locally in the province of Pasewalk, we also offer online video consultations. We value your privacy and want to help you to find the root cause of what ails you. We speak fluent English and pride ourselves on thinking outside the box when it comes to your health. You can find us online at apotheke-pasewalk.de, spelled APOTHEKE, and then a minus, PASEWALK.de. Neue Apotheke am Markt. Your well-being is what matters. Ambrosia Lounge, a natural healing practice that specializes in vitamin infusions. Located just 45 minutes outside of Stettin, Poland, and an hour and a half away from Berlin, we have concentrated our efforts into creating tailored infusions to fit our customers' needs. We start out by getting a blood sample so we can create a custom treatment plan. And injecting high doses of vitamin C and other micronutrients directly into the bloodstream has been proven to boost your immune system and fill up your reserves to help your body fight off viruses. For more information and an appointment, check out our website, ambrosialounge.de, spelled AMBROSIALOUNGE.de. Another good source is Rhonda Patrick's website, Dr. Rhonda Patrick, foundmyfitness.com. You can search there for vitamin C and you'll find some great information. The last sponsor is my own company, Signal East. How do I reach my customers outside of the normal operating hours? How can I grow my customer base? And even if I know how to do these things as a sole proprietor, I don't have the time to take care of marketing as well. Signal East can help you complement your business with digital selling channels. Web shops, email, marketing, Facebook, Instagram, image films, podcasting, and more. We are committed to the success of small businesses that, just like us, needed a helping hand to get started and stay focused in the digital marketing space. For more details, follow the link in the description. Signal East, your partner for digitalization in 2021. Enjoy the episode. The following is a conversation with Cetvies. As a master's graduate in social sciences, political sciences, and human rights, she campaigns for human trafficking, as well as censorship going on in China. She also campaigns for animal rights, LGBT, politics, international relations, current affairs, society, philosophy, and spirituality in general. These are all heavy topics, but I ask you to bear through them. Also, please take the time to understand her thick French accent because the message she has to deliver is an important one. This was a sobering conversation that touches on the sad and horrific truths of human trafficking. We attempted to explain what to me is an unexplainable human appetite for treating other humans, and even worse, children, in such horrific ways. Get ready. Yeah, we have Cetvies with us in studio remotely, so thank you for joining us. She has a master's degree in social science and political sciences with human rights. We want to start off with just saying that on her website, in the name of humanrights.com, she talks about not only just human rights. There's also other things that she talks about on there, but we're talking today about human trafficking. It's a heavy topic. I'm prepared to learn a lot. I have to be honest, I haven't really ever spent a lot of energy in this topic, so I'm going to be all ears today. Thank you. So, please introduce yourself, fill in the blanks. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Alors, so I'm Cetvies. I write a blog. I write on many subjects, but mainly at the forefront of it, at least, it's on human rights I write. If I had to boil it down to 3 topics, it would be on one, China and censorship. Which is much more severe than it's usually thought, but we are aware too in the West. For example, in China, people don't have what we are calling here an internet. They got something like an intranet, and is censored at the will of a political party, basically. So the result is that you cannot possibly say anything about Xi Jinping, their president, because he's going to be censored. we know that there's a lot of political prisoners in China, such academics and so forth, that just started criticizing what was happening there. Also in China, basically, you've got Google now. It's not very new now. Maybe a few years ago, you've got Google, but it's Google China. That is to say that what the Google we know in the West, it's not available. It's out of reach for Chinese people. In China, every blogs are censored. You cannot find any blogs. Facebook completely censored. Many big guys are censored. So, of course, you can understand why you want to curb, for example, Facebook monopoly, replace it by someone. The problem is that the information circulating on Facebook is completely unavailable. For example, we know that in China, even Tiananmen Square, it is not available on the internet.
Yeah.
So very serious, very serious censorship. Also, it's a censorship that they are trying to spread, because we know that economically it's becoming very big giant, and maybe the future. And so they're trying to spread through Confucius institutes and trade and link by different means, through political means and through what call soft power. Everyone is doing it, but the problem is that they are promoting that kind of censorship. It's also a problem with data, with debt. So Chinese have been billion structure in Africa. Well, we've got criticism like the West have been doing, building a big hospital that are empty because the countries are too poor to really run them, and the population is too far and so forth.
Yeah.
But in exchange of this big infrastructure, the states are completely crippled with debt, and so they repossessed towns, harbor. They kind of a lease of 100 years in happened in Africa and in Asia, where the country cannot repay, and they say, okay, we'll take this harbor for 100 years, and we do anything we want with it. So voilà. It was lending money in order to, like the American way of lending money to people that they won't be able to repay. So you lose your home basically after having paid for your credits.
It's a lot of think about China to Africa doing what they're doing there. I think about Facebook, and I've heard stories about the type of Facebook, like if you phone in Africa, that you get Facebook on the phone and you don't have anything else. This is the only type of information, and the misinformation can be used to create tribal wars, politically manipulate the local politics by off tribe wars, and because you want to. There's actually, I think it was, didn't we read that once, Eric, that we had it where they were talking about that the direct connection, some type of civil war that had been started because of a Facebook, because Facebook is like the only way to communicate there. Can you look that up?
Let me find something.
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know how that's directly connected to China. I know that China is definitely building out road, a lot of infrastructure deals in Africa too, right?
Massively, in fact, Bombay is why you understand what African people is turning toward China is because, of course, in a way, it is sad that Africa is losing its wildlife, and what we already have lost in Europe for several centuries, maybe, or at least a few centuries. But so yes, they turn to China, but they are exploited by the colonizer, and China is there, Russia is there as well, and also they use the argument that they are not colons. You see, they are not like the French, the Portuguese, the English, the Dutch. No, they it's like a treatment between Chinese and Russia.
It's just a new term for it, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Yes, it's the way. Yes, it's neocolonialism. Yes, it's a way of doing it. Because you can't repay. So, but it's simply the old hypocrisy and saying that it's a contract, you consent to it, and but in fact is to exploit you to the latest. And Russia also will have a lot of contracts with contracts around military. So yes, to fuel civil war.
What about this how it's not only the cell phone itself, but actually the network servers. They have network connection routers that are tracking everything that's happening. And these I think the West, they even had to take them out of the infrastructure because they realized after the fact that this Chinese hardware.
You mean Huawei, maybe?
Huawei, yeah, I said it wrong. Yeah, I said Huawei.
So this with Huawei, but this is a massive problem. Also, just to say, but China has been taking red-handed spying on the African Union.
Yeah, so they're directly spying on them with the technology.
Directly, because if my memory is okay, so they build, they build everything in China right now. So if they build or they renovated it, I don't know, but that is for sure is that it was a Chinese company looking after the networking and internet and so forth. And I wonder if it's not almost a few years after or a good few months after that they realized that so China were spying on the African Union. I mean, it's a big thing, and you know that in Europe, people. I mean, in France, we have Raffarin, who is an ex-minister, and in UK, you've got David Cameron, who after being a PM went tried to trade with them. So big figures who start doing politics, but with Chinese, you know that if you do politics is the way they do it, and the way they do it is it is clear in the Western world we suffer much of censorship, but at least it is not state originated.
Censorship is there, but at least it's not and I think, like, coming back to just, we haven't even started on the human trafficking, but it's amazing to me that it's not more of a topic. It's like when I was researching just for this podcast, just for the interview, I found a video from one of my guys, Joe Rogan. I follow a lot of what he talks about, and I was watching a video of him talking about this topic, and this was, I think, about like before Trump had to get, before the elections. I think it was in around October last year or something like that. And there was this whole thing with Trump and how he was trying to make the human trafficking a topic, and it became politicized, but it totally lost. It became all about politics and nothing about the children that are being trafficked.
This just a word on Trump is I thought of it because now it's one of the big reply on human trafficking is like, but Trump did something big on human trafficking.
Yeah.
But you see, the problem is that the problem is that it's someone like Trump who does it. I mean, everyone is welcome, yes, but this guy is. We know that he's a con. We know that he lies, and
Yeah.
you know that he's manipulative. And which is a bit extraordinary is that he's really one of the first main qualities you need for a trafficker. And to use deception and so forth, you know.
Yeah.
And it's and also I would draw a parallel so more or less Trump was linked with QAnon, yes.
Yeah.
And QAnon and for specialty to accuse innocent people to be traffickers or to have been incestuous, or you see. So basically, it's a group that take a serious and terrifying subject, but instead of trying to mend it, it turns it into a weapon, because it's what it is. It's a formidable weapon. But if you start using it against people who are innocent, when maybe it's because you are in fact the guilty, because I mean. You know, there's people that every time you talk about human trafficking, there's a question that pops up. It's like, is it possible to stop it, to curb it, and so forth? And you know that as long as there is unemployment, as long as there is exploitation, the type of which Trump was happy. Trump is not. You know, I don't want to demonize him, because he profited from a system who welcomed him with open arms.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's, you know, it's like an outsider after a coup and just organizing the thing like he wants. It's he's profiting from a system who said yes to him. Yes, so
yeah.
And
that happened.
Like, for example, you have the same with Antifa. So I don't really know. You know, Antifa, it's a movement. There are several groups. It's hard to identify. But what we know that Trump followers have been doing is that, for example, they said so the Trump followers that destroy properties and so forth, and they say no, it's not Trump followers, it's Antifa that did it. You know, it's like reversing things, and if it's possible to do it, then so it's why the subjects are very, very worrying, is because well, of course, obviously it can be used as to abuse people on top of it. Yes, I mean,
yeah,
and I think it's what people like Trump be doing. You know, the one way people can lobby for trafficking officially, but indirectly, so they lobby the governments and so forth, is the porn industry.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I mean, it's a huge industry, and it seems like when you watch porn, or you think about porn, you think about people that are willing and openly, and they want to just make money. You think about the happy side of it. You don't think about that what percentage of those women got into that at a young age, or men, got into that at a young age, and they weren't necessarily. I mean, just the it's a very dark topic, but just the
but just to word on that is that when you touch to gender studies and feminist studies, and it is very clear what they did with pornography is that first of all they do everything to glamorize it. To make sure that people think that you make money, you are happy. Basically, you are paying girlfriend, you make lots of money, and you go on being a successful business woman, or I don't know, married, and like a pretty woman kind of ending. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's everything but that. Yeah. And to be honest, studying, knowing the figures about prostitution is absolutely horrifying. Yeah. These women are killed, they are beaten, they suffer countless abuses, complex consequences on health and mental issue, and also basically they are not here because it's their choice.
That's and to go back to the what you said before about about using it as a weapon, my question is that if there wasn't an appetite for this, that's what I just don't understand about humans. For me, I someone that doesn't have that appetite, it's just hard to me to think that there's people out there that have an appetite for having sex with basically a child or whatever, or an abuse.
Yes,
and abuse. Abusing these people, abusing mentally, physically. That we had this one article where the woman, this flight attendant, she saw like a little girl basically traveling with an older man. And then and she noticed that so they've been trained. Some of these flight attendants, they have actually a training for flight attendants to be able to see this, and so that they can tell the pilot to land, and when they land, they have the authorities waiting to pick up this man that had this, because you can't even you don't want to put this girl in the situation that she has to, you can tell that he was protecting her for like speaking for her and not allowing her to talk, and she looked just basically, you could just see it on her face that this little girl has been going through hell. And that's what the flight attendant said. And I just got this picture in my mind to think, like, how this businessman, this guy that probably has a Porsche and thinks he's just so cool and has all these things, and he just has this little slave that he takes with him everywhere he goes. And I just think to myself, like, in 2021, that's still a thing. That's still something like that.
In fact, it's a new thing. The training is because it's one of the big thing in the academic papers is that you realize that people are not trained. Even people who look after children as a living, as a profession.
You don't know what to look for.
No.
They don't know what to look for, like you don't know what to see. Like it happens at a local base. Like I think we as a community, as a local community, you have to be able to support the police officers and support by actually having this kind of on your mind a little bit and being like, there's something wrong with this kid. Let's figure that out.
On their mind, and also have possibility to act, because the problem is that professionals are in this situation where so not like it was an issue, I think, with like you say, in transportation and with doctors and so forth, because you can see the kid only one like half an hour in maybe every month if you are lucky, or something like this, or it's not even recurrent, and so you've got to spot it very quickly. But professional like teachers or support social workers and so forth, the thing that I guess they don't know where to turn to, and also you've got very problematic statistic on what is happening in health and care anyhow.
And I'm sorry, what was that? I didn't understand. In what kind of care?
Health and care, like social care.
Okay.
Like basically the kids that end up being trafficked are disproportionately from social care settings.
Makes sense, yeah.
So fostering or adoption, not adoption, fostering system.
Yeah.
Not fostered, but you know, your parents for some reason or another cannot look, or you have been removed from your parental home, and they are being looked after by social care.
Yeah.
And the result of social care is awful. They at 18, most of them, they are found in the street. They are not educated. They are not basically. But it will depend on the country style, and so forth. But what you may well see is children that here they support their basic need and then I don't even know too much about the US, but the US it's the level of care it's really lower than it is in Europe. But I'm not talking about the US, I'm talking about Europe here.
Yeah.
They pretend looking after them. Of course, they've got a meal.
But they're not really taking care of them. Yeah.
No.
They
Education.
I think in Germany, it's very typical that you have maybe their families want to make the money. They get money for having this child under their care. And so, like you said, the food is maybe on the table, but it's probably not good food, and it's just the very basics. And the children are not really being taken care of. They're just more under.
Yep.
Like they sleep and they have a place to sleep and a place to eat, but that's about it. Yeah.
There's many problems, I think, because you've got this, and you've got also that the pay are low, basically.
Yeah.
Because to look after a kid, really to look after a kid, it's you've got to involve yourself all day, basically.
Sure.
When he's not at school, it's more or less like this. I mean, okay, he's doing his homework, but cognitively, intellectually, emotionally, physically, and so forth.
It's the whole day.
Yes, it's the whole day when he can't go into other activities and so the pay is quite low, but also there is I think there's a kind of culture. That is to say, for example, I'm a vegan. If I wanted to foster a kid, I'm not sure that my compassion to animal would profit.
Yeah.
Things like this, yeah. Plus, there is also, I'd say that it's not easy because there is risk avoidance. So if you maybe you don't want to have behavioral to face more behavioral problems or resistance. If you want to help to homework, if homework is not regulated in this way, you see. I think that there's so I don't know exactly what's happened there, but I guess it's gonna be cultural because it's not the point, And as soon as it's not listing on your little paper, the moment you want to improve things, then you might take risk. And taking risk, I mean, I can only guess, but the result of social care it's awful. I mean, you've got kids from 18, they are already with a link to prostitution, drugs, and it's coming from the care provided. I mean, why most kids are ending up like this compared to normal setting. Of course, there is trauma. Of course, it's different and so forth. But can be sure is because it's institutional neglect, basically, also playing there. So
yeah, it's a tricky thing. I mean, when I think about like the just going back to being able to have an eye for this type of like a child that's being abused, being able to have a radar for that. So what are the things you're looking for? Are you looking for like because something that I kind of took for granted was that these children, they don't even know how to help themselves. So you really they can't come out of this. They can't ask for help, because if they ask for help, they get in trouble. They know it's just going to mean more problems for them. So they hide it too, right? They try and hide it in a sense.
Yeah, allow me psycho is very interesting question in psychology, and is very telling, but this is not something I'm very comfortable with. But one of the sign is that possible sign is it's like maybe kind of extreme behavior,
Okay.
like very quiet, or very afraid, or over trusting, or not trusting at all.
Yeah.
Maybe lying on what they are doing, because of course the perpetrators are conditioning the child not to. So he will say, don't say anything, say something else, and so forth. So basically, yes, it's his kids that are in a horrifying situation. It's kids that that might be difficult to approach and have behavioral consequences that it could be like hyperactivity.
It just comes out in different ways, because they don't know how. They're not like this even keeled child that you think this. Like my kids, my son, when he has a problem, he'll look at you and tell you, because he feels that he had like. But these children don't have this safe zone, so they look for other ways, and it just goes this way or it goes that way. It's too little or too much. Yeah, that makes sense. I can see that. But lying, that's interesting too. Like when a child is lying to you about something, where you're like, why is he lying? There's no reason. There's no reason for her. It makes no sense. Like, why lie to me about where you're going or what you're doing when it's such an easy thing to tell the truth, I don't know. It's just eye opening for me, just the conversation itself. So I'm going to. We live. The other thing was that these hubs, like you have these hubs throughout the world where a lot of people are traveling. I was watching this it was in Houston in the United States. So it's a port city, and it's also where a lot of flying happens and a lot of traveling happens. So I think it was a guy. His name is Wesley Hunt. He ran for the 7th congressional. He ran for something, a Republican Party, but he didn't win. But he was talking about, like, you could just go to the airport and just watch, and just like you could seriously just go there, and if you sit there long enough for a week or 2 weeks, you could just start finding this by looking, and that just was amazing to me, because he says it's such a problem, and I'm trying to think.
You mean like accompanied children, or like suspect behaviors or something like this?
Yeah, so the children.
I believe it, huh?
Yeah,
I believe it. Oh yeah.
That's just as he was saying that, I'm just thinking to myself, like, first off, it was hard for me to believe, but then and then the other thing was
there is a satisfaction with perpetrators, is because they kind of know that not all the time, of course, but for example, there is that is world figures as 0.04% victims are identified. So it's 4 victims in 1,000.
Yeah.
and there's this thing in the perpetrators things is that there is satisfaction, and it's as well
crazy.
it's a very good way, I mean, practical and psychological and most physical way of handling, quote unquote, handling victims,
Yeah.
is that they will tell you, look, people knows, yes, I can do suspect gesture towards you. In the place where there's even police, there is people well clad, and there's families around, and people might almost witness it, or at least recognize it as a behavior that says long about it, and no one is gonna say anything about it.
That's crazy.
And
Yeah.
when it's serious, as because this is sexual abuse against children we are talking here, maybe, but when it's trafficking, and when it's it is that there is people that are in such situation. They know that they won't be believed. I mean, you can. It's like unbelievable. It's it's one of the key in with these topics, is that it is so unbelievable what is happening.
Yeah.
Is that you have to check and double check, and exemplify it to understand that this is no conspiracy theory. This is no fake news.
Because it's so unbelievable.
It's just happening. I mean,
Yeah.
in the UK, you've got it's so. I mean, it's something that is the question is how it has been possible, one, to happen, and one to it hasn't been sanctioned. It hasn't been punished.
Yeah.
In the UK, there is the police. For example, it has been the case in Birmingham. You can check anytime, because thankfully, fortunately, this 5 years ago now has been breaking news, and so all the papers was on them.
Yeah.
But it took there was 100 more than 100 girls victims of trafficking, so they were plied with drugs, as it is often the case, and they went. So more than one went to the police and said what happened, describe what happened. So they were plied with drugs and raped by several adults, one after the others. This is in the UK. 5 years ago in Oxfordshire. Okay.
Yeah.
The police said more than one time, yes, but you are doing drugs, so basically it's like kind of insensitive behavior. They are talking to a girl that is 13 and her mother. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
A 13-year-old doing drugs. It's like, but she has no choice. She's not even an adult. She has no idea what's going on. She's probably
this, we know it. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, but there is also something that academics know that it's happening with trafficking.
Yeah.
Is that people are gonna focus? They're gonna focus on the victims.
Yeah.
So yes, we know. So you are right, Remington. I am 100% right. But you need to explain to children that it's not their fault, but they've got to protect themselves and so forth. That they are only children and are at the risk and so forth. But as soon as you are an adult, maybe an older adult, not 25, because it's still young and so forth, yeah? But at least as soon as you've got a reflective account on what is to be a kid, you know what a kid is, and you know that it's why it's the simple fact that is why you can't give consent and so forth. Yeah, and what is done is that. The intention is brought onto the victims, and yes, what happened to you, and well, maybe we talk about the care. Bon, in fact, it's really an imbroglio. I'm not sure it's so at times the care is gonna to give to the perpetrators once they are identified as perpetrators.
Yeah.
And then the victims are left without psychological help or something like that.
Okay.
And there's something else happening, is that perpetrators are not the focus.
Yeah.
It means that the one main reason, bon, after unemployment, yeah, but you know, people needs to gain money by any way, any means, yeah. The one reason why human trafficking is now human trafficking is earning money more than weapon trade do, and maybe it's about to bring money more than drugs do.
Yeah, it's the biggest
so crime
business.
is drug. Yeah, drugs. It was the first bringing money. Yeah, it used to be a weapon, but now it's not weapon. It is human trafficking.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why is that when you are a trafficker, you earn good money. You earn a lot of money.
Yeah.
And unbelievable, but true. The risk you are taking is really low compared to trade weapon and compared to trade drugs.
Yeah.
It is low. One of the reason for that is that they say they don't look after it because it's neglected by police. Okay, this is neglected. We know it's neglected. Yeah. The one the reason is given is that these people, they've got nowhere to go, so they will be back.
Yeah.
To be trafficked. Okay, you've got or they will be taken.
So why even bother? So it's like
yeah. So. And when they finally, some of them, very very few of them is taken and judged, they will be charged with lesser crimes.
Yeah.
So for example, they are traffickers, they are mafias.
Yeah.
So they are traffickers, and they will be say, you are smugglers. Okay, they're not smugglers. They are traffickers. And also, is when the people have big question is people don't believe. In fact, they don't believe. They say, when you think quickly, yeah, they say, this woman is not in case of women, yeah, not in case of children, because after you've got experience for you and maturity for you, yeah.
Okay.
And say, but it's not possible. This woman, she studied in her country. How come she knew her right? How come she's still trying to pay debt to the smugglers, but that in fact are traffickers and so forth?
Yeah.
Because the reason why is that they are very very organized crime, and they can threaten you just as they want to. They threaten their family in your country, in your home country. They threaten you with stopping, and if you've got nowhere to go, they take you back in a few days, and with sanction.
It's just amazing to me that there's even there's such a demand for this too. I even on your website you have here this says Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, married a 6-year-old millions are preaching the sanctity of child marriages and pedophilia as a result. That was so like the fact that's accepted, right? Marrying a young child, or we saw that in the United States with this whole problem that happened.
It's revered. In this case, it's not even accepted. It's like it's revered. Like he's the idol of.
He's the idol.
Yes, it's. Sorry.
Nah, it's okay. I just I don't know. It's just very eye-opening to me. I just don't understand why there's such an appetite for this. I just don't get that, I don't understand why people can't just be satisfied with having, having a normal relationship. I don't know what this extra part of it is, this it's a sickness. It seems like it's a human sickness to me that is, maybe there's a social reason why a society needs to have, or why humans over the centuries and the eons have had to have this type of relationship. It just seems like it seems very sad and wrong, and no one ever had to tell me this. I didn't have to learn that. I'm not trying to say, oh, good for me. I just don't understand why that has to be in some people's brains as something that you have to check off, that has to be part of what you need to do on your daily basis.
In gender study, I must admit I've been lucky because we were taught by a professor, and she knew how to to handle things rather quickly. So in criminal studies and gender studies, what you learn, in fact, is that to do this horrifying things to women and children, it's a way to total control and total destruction, basically.
Yeah.
It is in a way it is disconnected with even. This is too complicated for me to have really.
It's a big. I'm sorry. It's a big question.
But more or less, it is what it is saying. But you need to speak better than me. But it's a way to just kill an individual, basically.
Yeah.
It's not to do with sex anywhere. It's not to do with marriage and so forth. It's really it's even more than slavery.
Yeah.
Because it's sexual slavery.
And it's also it's like a sociopathic attribute. It's something like this person needs to have some type of power, and they use this, and they, like you said, they even if they're walking in public and walking around and showing people, they're almost proud of it because they can show off that they can do this bad thing and no one's going to even stop them. So it's like,
Yeah, it's a power thing. Yes, I mean, of course, there's power and power. I mean, power doesn't have to be a bad word, but this is the most horrific power abuse that you can imagine. Yes, is to sexually enslave a child. I mean, you can't get better than that. Yeah.
No. How do you go? I mean, besides what we said before, like when you look around and you try and see, you can maybe have like an eye for this type of child that's being abused. How do we go about, like how do these people communicate? How are these systems working? Where's a place where we can start and say, hey, we can make it harder for them to do their trafficking? Or I mean, I feel kind of like my hands are tied behind my back. Like, what, besides talking about it and making awareness about it, how is it something that can become more of a topic that people? Yeah. It's also like it's a tough topic, so I get that. That's why people probably don't want to talk about it. It's like I'd rather just pretend everything's okay and I just have a nice life and I I do my job every day and everything's cool and I have,
But a nice life. Me personally, I don't know how long it's gonna last for Europe to be kind of protected of this kind of things. Huh?
Yeah.
For example, UK is less and less so. In at least in terms of labor traffic. Also, they had now they have a law. I think it's 1 year ago. But the children, girls, used to be taken to the UK for genital mutilation.
Yeah. That's a whole nother thing too.
There they could do it without any problem. Amusingly is these people who say that they come for the UK for human rights. They come to UK for human rights because you can practice that you think that they come for human rights, okay, when you don't know. But in fact, some of these people say they come from human rights, i.e., to be able to practice genital mutilation. It's a thing. Huh? It is true as well. Huh?
So wait, you're telling me, so people say I'm going to come to the UK and I get like a visa to work in the UK as a human rights person, activist?
No. There is migrants or people who wants to settle and to settle in the UK or who wants to live there.
Okay.
And I'm not saying every of them. Huh?
No, I get
it's
you.
not what I'm saying. No, because of course, when you live in Syria, you want to go to the UK for human rights. You understand what they are saying is because in Syria it's impossible to live. And yeah, for example, I've read it recently for LGBT rights in Iraq. The death penalty for LGBT people were not a thing any longer. Yes.
Yeah.
So in Iraq, LGBT death sentence was gone. The law because is in some countries it is through Sharia law that you kill gay people. Okay.
Yeah.
And in Iraq. In the national law, although sometimes there are problems because you've got this in the national law, but you got the Sharia law, so they work side by side. And It's not because you don't have it in the national law that it won't happen, because it will be done by Sharia tribunals, you see.
Yeah.
So in Iraq, LGBT death penalty, it was not the case, right? But since he has been taken by Islamic State, then they were killing gays anyway. So of course, when you have yourself to flee this extremism, dictatorship, whatever you want to call them. Of course, you go anywhere else for human rights.
But then they end up in the UK, and
but it's not what I was saying. Is
no, but it's okay. Then you're saying that then they end up in the UK trying to escape this tyranny, and they end up.
So I was not talking about I was not talking about poor people who are victims in their countries, whatever the country is. Poor Muslim, because in any case, in countries like Syria, Pakistan, and so forth, the Iran and so forth, when you are born a Muslim, donc in the country where Islam rules, you cannot say you don't want to be a Muslim any longer. No. You cannot say, me, I don't want to follow Islam. I am an athei, for example, or an athei, or an agnostic, or a spiritual person, but you don't follow the religion.
Yeah.
You can't convert to another religion.
You
cannot convert to another. It is called apostasy. So it's to renounce the religion into which you are born.
Yeah.
And this is death penalty as well.
Yeah.
Check Pakistan, because Pakistan is not a country like Afghanistan, like in the middle of civil war, like in Iran, same thing. It is not. Well, if you are guilty of apostasy, that is to say, renounce your religion, is death penalty for you. But so I am not talking about people who flee, who have no choice but fleeing, and but I'm talking that for some people, it has become kind of a joke to choose, for example, UK over France. Is because in the UK you have Sharia tribunals. Bon, of course, it's only for family matters, mais enfin...
what is it? What's it? It's a tribunal? A Sharia tribunal?
Yeah, it's Sharia courts in the UK. So officially, it's something very official. It's not... because basically what they say is that Sharia law, some aspect of Sharia law was applicated in the UK, but unofficially.
Okay.
And so the Islamic cult pushed to have it as official, and now you've got Sharia courts in the UK as official courts for family matters, not for me. Law, I'm zero, so it's not for civil law. It's not. It doesn't replace the court, okay? But it's for the divorce and stuff like that. But it's a big thing. And as I told you, people were coming to cut their children, and this is practiced in Islam as well. They like figures. It's not. I am not. It is not 100 girls that has been cut in the UK. No. It's yet again, it's thousands.
Yeah, that's so basically this. I don't really know about this law. So this is like kind of a family law that's practiced outside of the UK, but the human rights activists got it figured out, and that they want to have this law. They're able to practice this family law in the UK, and part of this family law is child mutilation. It's built into it. Yeah.
Alors là, no. This I don't know.
But that's
this. I don't know.
Okay.
Là, you have to ask. It's been a long while. I didn't delve into Islam matters, in fact. But check this. It's UK Sharia courts.
Yeah.
But no, that couldn't be that. I know it's a common practice in Islam, genital mutilation.
Yeah.
But I know. But is it done by Sharia court, Sharia law? This I can't be sure, because the body of laws is like through traditional text, through tradition, through precedent, maybe. So it's a bit complex. But and of course not that it wouldn't be officially done in the UK. Of course not, it wouldn't be officially done. It's 1 year ago the UK. So very amusingly as well, the law is it's not amusing. The law, as usual,
it's not amusing, but it's amusing in a sad sense. Yeah.
It's like it's surprising, but it's surprising what it's surprising to express the phrase, and after that you understand that the law is systematically years behind. Yeah. And these years behind enable well-organized crime and crimes to profit, basically. And it's only 1 year ago that they did something on genital mutilation in the UK. the human. So another one that is baffling is that human trafficking is all like a civilization. I mean, it's as old as humanity, yeah. But maybe not as old, but something on these lines, yeah. And he has been recognized by the US and by the UN, and by the UN only in 2000, human trafficking.
Yeah.
So you could try to do people for prostitution and so forth. Another aberration is that the people that are criminalized are the women that are exploited.
Yeah, not the people, not the people doing the crime.
And one again, it's true. I mean, me, I've got all this data. Not all, but I mean, I worked as a student with university and so forth. And when I reread the data, I say, no, it's not possible. It's not possible. You know, I've done something. It's my mistake. It must be wrong. Yeah. And you are researching, and thanks to the net, you can research and no, it is this. They put not all. There's people that say if one of the problem is because of drug addiction, then you put the girl in question in prison and they go cold turkey and they might stop being dependent. Yeah, so is used as a technique as well. So to try to get rid of drug addiction, with fueling the trafficking. But yes, one of the aberration is that it is gonna be the girls and the US again a lot. Because you don't get, they can criminalize the 16-year-old for curbing, for prostitution or attempt at prostitution or something along these lines, and charge them and the traffickers and the pimps and so forth.
I was looking up, so to kind of I looked at Wikipedia here. I put in a female genital mutilation in the United Kingdom, and it says that here the number of women aged 15 to 49 resident in England and Wales born in FGM practicing regions. So there's a region, so there's these practicing regions, which is that's just reading that for the first time. That's what I don't believe. That blows my mind. Having migrated to the UK. Okay, so that's like outside of the UK. They migrated to the UK, 182,000 of them in 2001, and increased to 283,000 in 2011. The number of women born in the Horn of Africa, where FGM is nearly universal, and the most severe types of FGM, infibulation, is commonly practiced, increased from 22,000 in 2001 to 56,000 in 2011, and an increase of 34,000. The number of women of all ages having undergone FGM rituals was estimated to be 137,000 in 2011. And so we're talking about a very small topic out of this entire topic, right? But the fact that that these laws were passed in the UK, it looked like the timing of the laws being passed were, like you said, relatively late, huh?
Yeah, 1 year ago, 2 years max.
Yeah, that's just like local authority areas with highest.
I think what happened in 1 year ago is that it's the first women who practiced the genital mutilation has been sentenced.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And so they finally have been, so they were tried for these crimes just in 2020. Yeah. Yeah, it's that's heavy. That's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we started off talking about China, which I think that's a whole nother topic. That's interesting that you are also researching that. I feel like that this Chinese government, this whole moving economy over there is it seems also kind of unbelievable that you can't even, just to kind of switch the topic, that you can't even Google something or look up something without it being filtered directly from the government.
It's not even filtered because Google doesn't exist in China.
It's not even there. What is it called?
Google
Baidu
China
or
that exists. So I don't know exactly what it is, but a few
Baidu.
years ago, Google didn't exist, and Google China, it's Google, but finally, because for a few years. They didn't want to compromise human rights and Google didn't want to compromise with the Chinese government, and finally they did it, and yes, and Google is censored in China, but for Google, because it's Google China, but Google as such, it's not even filtered. It doesn't exist. And so YouTube, you cannot find YouTube in China.
You
cannot find YouTube. Systematically, all videos and audios you cannot find. Even if you talk about audios you can download those. So because audios is videos. Of course, it's very tricky to control.
Yeah.
Because it's not, it's no. They don't know what the content is in a video. So But you've got what is very, very problematic for Chinese people is that they don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm not saying that we know what's going on everything. Yeah. Clearly, we don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bon, you've got WikiLeaks but also. I mean, it's not. You don't need the WikiLeaks. You need simply to realize that big massive human rights abuses are not really here in mass media. No, you won't open your TV and they say, why look there. Mine maybe because we know that there's children suffering all over the place in Africa, and there's civil wars all over the place in Africa. Like you said, it's what I think was happening when with Facebook is for the Arab Springs. They looked a lot on what was happening with Facebook, because they realized that young people were so clever with phones, because at least Africa has got it doesn't need, your phone doesn't need much power, so you still can have it, and they could start Arab Spring with Facebook or the equivalent of networking. So this way is they might. It was a lot in the media that you could start civil wars or insurrection with networking, basically.
Did you ever find anything about that, Eric, by chance? No? So he's on it.
About tribes, tribes getting involved.
I remember finding an article about that.
I just found this stupid game Tribe Wars 2 from Facebook every time I try.
No, it's okay.
But Tribe, it is very possible, because in Africa you've got the tensions are a lot tribal there. So maybe it's not between classes or
genocide.
Yes, I mean, yes.
Here,
I am not at all surprised that they can do that, and it was very interesting what you said. In fact, is that they managed to monopolize the the fun,
the
basically.
communication. Yeah, can you put my?
Iran.
Yeah, it says here that a genocide incited on Facebook with post from Myanmar's military. A border police officer at the Repatriation Center for Rohingya returning to Myanmar. Human rights groups blame Rohingya propaganda online for fueling violence and displacement. So they posed as fans of pop stars and national heroes as they flooded Facebook with their hatred. One said Islam was a global threat to Buddhism. Another shared a false story about a rape of a Buddhist woman by a Muslim man. So they're sharing this on Facebook. The Facebook posts were not from everyday internet users. Instead, they were from military personnel who turned the social network into a tool for ethnic cleansing, according to former military officials. Yeah, and while Facebook took down the official accounts of these military leaders, the breadth and details of the propaganda campaign, which was hidden behind fake names and sham accounts, went undetected. The campaign, described by 5 people who asked for anonymity because they feared of their safety, including hundreds of military personnel who created troll accounts and news and celebrity pages on Facebook, and then flooded them with incendiary comments and posts timed for peak viewership. So it was like, in that sense, Facebook was just being used they used Facebook to create fake news.
Fake accounts, and fake accounts and fake news and propaganda. But this has been used all over the place. We know it by the Russian, by the Chinese. Myanmar is supported by both, by the way. The Myanmar coup is supported by Chinese and Russian, and why it is absolutely not like a secret is because it's through the Security Council in the United Nations. So they veto China and Russia are vetoing on Myanmar. It's why it's the main reason, or one of the main reasons why nothing is happening, or nothing will happen, because it's how you said with China as well, is that if for example it's kind of a new news with Australia. But it's not new that the tension between China and Australia, but like very recently, Australia said something about China was reacting to COVID, and the way the World Health Organization couldn't come and couldn't visit and couldn't survey one market and one maybe laboratory and so forth. And Australia said something about China, and they say no, we don't agree how China reacts to coronavirus investigation. Well, China just stopped trading with Australia. But they didn't stop trading, but they stopped trading coal, I think, which is
pretty important.
Wine and and so this is it's what China do. They boycott. They did this. They did the same with Norway. They stopped buying salmon because I think Norway said something about an academic they imprisoned. Also, you can check on this as well. Please check.
Yeah.
It's why sometimes you wonder is. I've been reading about China for almost a long time now, and it's once again it's like by accident. I was it was a lecture on China, so it's not complete accident, but it's after 100 lectures, 101. It's about it was Miss Canada, so she couldn't go. It's not subtle, though it's really not subtle. So it's Miss Canada, and she has I think she was born in China but lived in Canada most of her life, and China refused her to go for Miss World. The Miss World show. They refused her to come because she voiced her concern about Chinese practices, about Hong Kong and so far, censorship, a few issues like that, and it's thanks to her. She was, I think it was us for the lecture, that I've learned that China do organ trafficking.
Yeah.
So this again you can check. They harvest political prisoners. Is this kind of subject we don't know about. So again, it's thanks to Australia this time.
Yeah.
But yes, they do a lot of investigation, and you see people. So what you know in China is that if you need an organ, this is possible in countries in the Middle East as well. So this we know. Also, there is a big concern with organ trafficking. It's because it's done on migrants.
Yeah.
And it's done on refugees.
Yeah.
This is a growing problem in Turkey. And also, we've got something that is totally evolving in trafficking, is that trafficking is done now through internet.
Yeah.
So you find a website where you've got the Craigslist, but this is for the US. But you find we've got still the language barriers that are enormous, because if you want to check on a Turkish website, it's gonna be difficult for people to check if they don't talk Turk.
Yeah.
But yes, in Turkey, why? Is because it's where people transit, and they are blocked because it's the Greek frontier and the borders, and there are blocks, and there are more and more refugee or migrants and illegal without paperless people that can't even have money to eat. And if they have money to eat, well, on a website, they sell their kidneys. In the US, because so it is what it is. It's incredible, but it is. This has been dealt by the English-speaking media, but you add this kind to just to give an idea of the extent of what is happening on the internet, is that you've got people selling trafficked women on Craigslist, and Craigslist is a US site.
Yeah. That's just I have to, my wife is calling me, actually. I'm sorry, I think I have to go home. She's calling me, she needs some help. I just to close this up, normally I would keep going on letting you go. You've got so much information, and I feel like I could just pick your brain about this even longer than we're going. We've gone for about an hour and 10 minutes right now. I have this article up here. China's coronavirus triggered salmon boycott could lead to industrial losses of 100 million. Norwegian salmon trader. This is eye-opening for me and it's responsible, I think, to talk about these things, because there's this dark side of the world that I kind of always wanted to avoid, honestly, because I think I try and be like this. I have this positive mindset, and I want to be a positive guy, and everything goes to but the reality is that there's dark side to this world, and there has to be checked against. You have to do something against this. Otherwise, it's going to, if it stays unchecked. And if there's nobody trying to help or trying to push this in the other direction by just ignoring it, right? If you just ignore it, you're not going to change anything, right?
And it's maximum pressure. This is the problem, is because I am not someone who I will say this all times is better, but the problem is that there's more and more population that are making a great job of robbing nature. I just heard it. It's not that. Climate change, and they call that now nature disappearance. Is that yes? I mean, we are completely killing nature.
Yeah.
Population more and more, industrialization more and more, and what is super amusing is that it's very new. It's very new phenomenon, in fact. Yeah. It hasn't been 1,000 years. It's not even been hundreds of years that we are doing it. Yeah.
No.
And what you just showed is that millions of trade in salmon. But I'm happy the salmons are in the sea. If they can be in the sea and live their life, and instead of us emptying ocean just to satisfy the sadistic streak of eating other animals, I would be very happy with this. But what is the problem is that this is only like kind of a bilateral tension.
Yeah.
But China is certainly on the way of being powerful enough to have a very clear means of pressure to say, oh, no way you want to say something, but your trade is not gonna be with me only, your problem, yeah? It's gonna be with, why not all the African country now I can pressurize, yeah? And also you've got this the other actors in the world attitude to climate change denials and so forth, and what I would say is that we kind of reach conclusion that yes, it's a dark side, but dark side is presently advancing. It's not like from our perspective of people who fully manage to be healthy, to live in good environments, to have a regular job, to count on a retirement scheme and so forth. But this is beyond this scheme. Yes, it's. The concern is this this phenomenon might well amplify, might become worse and more rampant because of all what we did to the planet first. And what we did to human beings at the same time, and everything is exploding at the moment. Not now. It is exploding, but since we are not seeing the consequence, the moment we are seeing the consequence, we won't be able to talk to each other anymore. But I mean, the direct consequence to our doors.
Things happen, and humans don't see that we could be in front of an exponential. We could be right in front of this exponential thing, and we can't even see that. It's hard, and it's such a. There's so many moving parts, and it's so big. It's hard to even really grasp your mind on it. That's and then.
And it's new.
Yeah.
Because of course the denigrating attitude of humans toward nature is nothing new. Yeah. I mean, always there's people who try to protect, but it was not enough. Yeah, it never has been enough. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, it's tricky. Cetvies, I'm gonna say goodbye for now. I would have liked to talk to you longer. I could have kept going. I just, like I said, my wife is calling. I need to go home and take care of my kids. So
Again,
thank you
thanks.
very much for your time, and maybe we can do this again some other time. Maybe we wait a couple months.
Yeah, with pleasure.
And then
With pleasure.
thank you. Yeah, very good. Then we'll do that, and I'll contact you that way then. Over a pod match.
Cool.
Pod match.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Have a nice night, huh?
Yeah, you too.
Goodbye.
Nice.
Yeah.